Council. Um, this is a passionate group of young people from around the United States dedicated to making positive change happen in communities for people, animals, and the environment. This opportunity gave her the skills and the platform to start two important campaigns, the Thriving Hive Project and the Second Day Denim. She has a connection with animals and nature, and she has always been part of environmental work and projects. So she's also part of the Girl Scouts as a Daisy. She started when she was 5, and she's currently completing her Gold Award, which is the highest achievement within the Girl Scouts from the USA. So we let her start her presentation. So, yeah.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to do a PowerPoint, and let me just share my screen. Okay, can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with explaining what Roots and Shoots is. So Roots and Shoots was founded by Dr. Jane Goodall in 1991, and when she met with a group of students from Africa, they told her that they felt like helpless and weren't able to do the change that they wanted to do. So Dr. Goodall had a plan that was able to help them, and then created Roots and Shoots. And I'm part of Roots and Shoots, but on NYLC, which is the National Youth Leadership Council, which is I think about 33 of us, and we represent like the youth for the United States with Roots and Shoots. And so what is the Thriving Hive Project? The Thriving Hive Project is supposed to spread awareness about bees and their purpose. And I primarily educate youth around my community, but I also give presentations like this one to people around the country. And so for my first project, I planted a garden with my Rotary Club at my middle school. For my second project, I established a beehive in my community, which ended up failing because the bees were not able to make it through the winter. And then my third project, I put up 8 bee hotels around my town with the head arbor. And my last project that I've done with this so far was I reestablished a new hive, which is actually doing really well. And so what are beehives? So beehives are like the main housing for the bees that you see on a daily basis. So like honeybees, carpenter bees, bumblebees, so that's pretty much what they live in. And so the part of the hives are boxes, frames, and comb. So boxes allow more room and it holds like the frames, and then the frames hold the comb, which keep all the nectar, the pollen, the honey, and keeps the bees secure. And then, yeah, the comb holds the honey. Sorry, not the frames. And so it's kind of like a house. So the boxes are like the walls, the frames are like the rooms, and the combs are like all the belongings inside of the house. And there's 3 main bees inside of a beehive. So this is your regular bee you see on a daily basis. This is the queen bee, and this is a drone bee, which is the male bees. And so then what is a bee hotel? A bee hotel is used by stationary bees which do not produce honey and do not have a queen. So they're independent and only rely on themselves. And they use bee hotels, which are these things right here, which are pretty much made up of little tubes that they can store their pollen, lay eggs, and rest. So here you can see what's inside of like the little tubes. So here's like the pollen, the larva, and then they're separated by mud. And then over here you can see an egg, which is pretty cool. And so here's some pollinating plants that you guys could plant if you have like a garden or something that actually help the bees a lot. So the Mexican sunflower, Indian paintbrush, Egyptian starflower, zinnia, bee palm, and the pincushion flower. And then some more are black-eyed Susans, milkweed, and butterfly weed, which are two different types of flowers. And for the milkweed, you want to get the ones that look like this, the red, because the purple ones, I don't know, they do something to the bees and butterflies. I think they cause like a chemical imbalance and they don't produce as much larvae. So it's actually helping them become extinct. And then the California poppy and hollyhocks. And so here's some projects you guys can do to help the pollinators. So you can use recycled bottles / cups as like pots. You can plant a garden in your backyard or community. You can join a project or create your own with roots and shoots. And then you could also make a bee bath. So for the use recycled bottles / cups as pots, you can take any bottle or cup laying around and cut off the tops or sides or wherever you want to have like the main hole for the plants to go. And you can then poke holes into the bottom so that the water can drain out, and then fill it with dirt. And you want to plant your seeds around 1 inch away from the surface. And if you would like, you can tie a string to the top so you can hang it. And here's some examples here. And for making a bee bath, you can find really any bowl that's like shallow enough, and you can fill it with whatever you want as long as it's safe for the bees. So like rocks, flowers, broken pot material, moss, shells, glass, but not really like sharp pieces of glass. And then fill up water but make sure it's shallow enough to where like the materials that you put down are still showing through, because that's the place for the bees to land, or else they would drown. And you can you should frequently change out the water so that you can keep it clean. And it may also attract other pollinators like small birds and butterflies. And then for planting a garden in your backyard or community, that's pretty simple. You just ask like a community leader or find a parent or someone to help you plant the garden, and then you try to use native plants to your area, and also ones that would work well in the conditions that you live. And if you want to, try and plant some pollinator plants that are safe for pollinators and help them. And then join a project or create your own with Roots and Shoots. You can go to Roots and Shoots website, which is right here, and you can either click projects or find a group and continue with the process. And then eventually you could be part of a group or have your own project. And then here I made a short little video explaining how to make a bee hotel, and here it is.
Hi, my name is Maddy Gregg, and I'm a freshman in high school. I joined Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots National Youth Leadership Council a year ago and started the Thriving Hive Project. The Thriving Hive Project is about bringing awareness to my peers and community about sustaining bees. One of the first projects I did was putting up bee hotels around my community. A bee hotel is important because they help mason bees, which are independent and do not require a hive structure. Instead, they would lay their eggs and store pollen in a bee hotel like this. Today, I'll be showing you how to make one out of household items. You can use a box, a mug, a jar, or a can for the base. And for the tube, you use bamboo sticks, folded magazines, or any cylinder-shaped object. You're going to need enough tubes to fill the base. You want to fill it completely so nothing moves out of place. To be able to hang up the bee hotel, you're going to need 2 pieces of string or twine cut at 3 feet, and then tie them into separate loops. To attach the slings to the base, you're going to want to put the can on top and then feed one end through the other. Pull the strings tight, and now you're ready to hang this up in a sunny spot facing south. Thank you for watching the
So yeah, that's how you make a bee hotel, and those would really help the stationary bees around your community. And here's an example from a kid in Romania that made one using my video, which was really cool to see. And then here's how you can contact me with any more questions or if you want help starting your own project or anything. And then I guess questions if we have time for that. Okay, yeah, that's it.
Can you explain a little more about the bee hotels and how you started with that?
Yeah, so I was thinking that since a lot of people are helping regular bees like the honeybee and the ones that produce honey, I was going to help a different type of bee, which are also becoming extinct because they actually pollinate 90% more than the regular honeybees. And so I thought that would be a good way to help bees around my community.
When did you start? At what age you started?
I started roots and shoots when I was in 8th grade, so when I was 13.
Does anyone else has a question for Maddy or any commentaries that you wanna?
Do you hang the bee hotel at any height, any specific place which is better to attract the bees? They discover the bee hotel by themselves, or do you use any lure to attract them?
So for the bee hotels, it doesn't really matter like what height it is, as long as like little animals can't really get to it that are like on the ground. But it should be in a sunny spot facing south. And if you do have stationary bees like around the area you live in, they should be able to find it themselves. But if not, you can go to like different websites or like Amazon or something, and you can actually buy mason bee eggs and place them inside the hotel, and there you'll have them. But make sure they're not invasive to where you live, because we don't want any invasive species.
Maddy, good job. I wanted to ask you if you have seen other pollinators in your gardens, like butterflies or hummingbirds.
Yeah, I actually have seen a lot of hummingbirds and butterflies in my garden, especially the one I did with my middle school, because I tried to use plants that were diverse for all pollinators. And so there's a lot of hummingbirds there.
Nice, nice.
I think Reynaldo has a question.
Yes. For how many times like you create the bee hotel, and how is the construction like? For how long do you need to keep it like?
So for the bee hotels, the construction, it doesn't take that long. For me, it took like 5 minutes to make. And then for how long, like you can keep it up. You can keep it up for like, I think 2 years, but like every 6 months, you should like see if there's any like spiders or anything inside that's not like bees.
With what
Thanks.
species of bees that you work with?
So I try and work with all bees that are like native to my community. So honeybees, because I have a hive set up in my community right now, and also mason bees, because there's 8 bee hotels around the community. So I work mainly with both those bees.
Okay, thank you. I think someone else has a question. Christopher.
Yes, yes. You can besides using the what seems like bamboo and the tin cans. You can use a piece of wood, like 4x4 or 6x6, and drill holes in it. Make sure it's not treated wood. It has to be raw wood, right?
Yeah, you can do that. But I found that like little tube structures work better. Like you can use rolled up magazines and those work fine also.
A log, like a log.
Yeah.
And drill holes.
Christopher, are you there? Do you have a question for Maddy?
I was wondering, you mentioned something about one of your projects that failed because of the winter. So what bees do when the temperatures drop?
So for me, it wasn't that like they got cold and the temperature dropped. We actually had hive beetles come in and they tried to take over the hive. And so they pretty much took all the bees' resources and they ate like all the honey and stuff so that the bees weren't able to survive. And then that's what actually helped them like decline because it was during winter also. But normally they should be able to survive winters if there's enough of them.
Maddy, and also do you educate people about not using pesticides or other pollutants to help the bees?
I haven't really gone into that yet, but I have said before, like, try not to use pesticides or anything that's like GMO that would like not help the bees. Try and use organic and pollinator safe.
How many people work with you or in the group that you have?
It's pretty much just me in the group because no one in my community really cares about the environment that much, which is kind of sad. But I would say I'm getting enough work done just with me. But I also have support from like Roots and Shoots and people on the council.
Can you share a little more about the council, and the work you do with the Roots and Shoots and maybe your experience with that?
Yeah, well, I really like Roots and Shoots because it gives me a lot more freedom than other organizations I've been in. So I can pretty much do whatever project I want with whatever rules I want in it. And I've only been on the council for like 2 years, so I haven't really experienced it that much as much as other people on the council. But from what I've seen, it's really fun, and they help a lot with our projects. Like they always ask you if you need any help, email me. We can get you grants, and so yeah, that's my experience with the council.
What was your first experience meeting Dr. Jane Goodall?
The first time I met Dr. Jane Goodall was, I think, her 85th birthday, and she was here in Los Angeles at Town Hall, and there was like a celebration going on upstairs in Town Hall that was like closed off to the public, and I was able to get in with the help of Hope, who's like one of our advisors for Roots and Shoots, and so that was really cool.
Yeah, that is a nice experience. And here's Abby too. She's part of the National Youth Leadership Council. Do you want to share something too, Abby, about the experience that you share with Maddy?
Sure. So, like Carla said, I'm on the NYLC with Maddy. I've been on since 2016. Throughout my time with Roots and Shoots in the NYLC, I've definitely noticed through the support and resources that I've received, I've been able to kind of feel more confident doing projects in my community. And similar to Maddy, my first Roots and Shoots project was actually about pollinators. It was just about the monarch butterfly.
And Roots and Shoots really helped me figure out how to actually create a project from the beginning and kind of follow it through so that it became successful and had some sort of an impact in my community. So I agree with what Maddy said about, you know, having that freedom to be able to design a project that you're really passionate about. And the NYLC is kind of like a great extension of support for Roots and Shoots because it's a group of young people from across the US who are really passionate about making change, but it's in a bunch of different areas. So it's not always, people on the council don't always do projects about the environment. It's also about people or animals. And it's a really great experience to be able to learn from everybody and receive support from them, and also have the opportunity to support other people. So it's a really great experience.
Yeah, it sure is. So it's so great to have you, both of you here. So, thanks so much for sharing your experience and the time that you spend doing what you love the most with different projects. So, anyone else have a question or a commentary for Maddy or Abby, or I don't know, something you want to share? We have Dr. Colon here. He works with apiculture with bees too. So I don't know, maybe you want to say something to Maddy from your experience.
How are the plantations in California? You know, Sacramento Valley has, you know, such huge almond plantations that are pollinated by bees. Are there enough beehives considering the use of pesticides to support the agricultural activities in California still?
From what I've read, because I'm nowhere really near Sacramento, I have, yeah, they actually still use pesticides, which are actually killing off the bees. And I think I read an article like a few months ago saying that they actually killed off more beehives, like total beehives this year than they have before in the past using all these pesticides.
You find that people are supporting the control of or the banning of pesticides, that, you know, insect killing pesticides in California. You find a positive reaction among people, young people in particular, to try to stop the use of pesticides.
Yeah, I think definitely among the younger generations, people are more open to organic and not using pesticides. But I don't really know about the older generations because I'm mainly focusing on the younger ones because they're our future and we can start change with them.
I mean the older generation. I support you. And so is or Adrian, not so old, but he's there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think Rinaldo has a question too here.
Yes. Do you know? Do you know how many bees like stay or visit the hotel bee, or if you know how to have that counting or something?
So the bee hotel, you can't really determine how many bees will end up there. It can be anywhere from like 1 bee to like 20 bees, depending on how many there are. Like they could be technically be like a group together, but they could nest in different hotels or in different areas. So yeah, you can't really determine how many there will be.
Thank you. So
Thank you very much.
Anyone else have a question, or Dr. Dosas have any commentary or something you want to share with Maddy or Abby?
No, but it was very interesting. I like your presentation very much. I learned so much, especially about the bee hotels. I didn't knew about that before. And also I like the idea of putting water for them, these little ponds, which can be good for the bees, but also for the birds in the backyards. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Amanda has a question. I think so. Amanda?
Yes, I actually do have a question. It's for Maddie. Have you seen any sort of pattern between the pollinators related to the time of the year that they come inside the bee hotel?
So definitely during winter, they're pretty much like hibernating almost, because during the winter the eggs are like developing and the larvae is developing, and so like all the adult ones pretty much die off. And then during summer there's a lot of bees flying around, and I'll see them in my backyard. And so yeah, definitely during winter there's not really any, but during summer there's a lot of them.
Okay, thank you.
Well, any more questions, commentaries?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, Maddy, have you ever been to the tropics? We're in Puerto Rico, 18 degrees north from the equator, at about the same latitude as Hawaii. And the conditions here are quite different for, the bee hotels and the type of bees that we might get in those hotels. It might be a little bit different than in the higher latitudes. You are in California, pretty up high in the States?
Well, I don't really know much about like the bees at Puerto Rico, but here in California, I'm like in the valley. So yeah, it's pretty much dry and hot here. So we get a lot of bees. So yeah.
Oh, so you don't have winter as such. I mean, very cold winter.
Yeah, we don't really have winter. I think our winter is just rain.
Oh, mostly rain. Okay. Wait, look up Puerto Rico in the map, just below Florida, east.
Yeah.
And here we are.
No more questions or commentaries. Maddy, do you have sorry?
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, hi Lush.
Yes, we can.
Hi. I want to ask Maddie, like, which is your favorite part about working with the bees? Because I know that you teach the people to do las casitas a las abejitas. Se me fue el nombre. Sorry.
The bee house.
Yes, the project that you have done with roots and shoots. But like, which is your favorite part? Doing that or teaching the people to do that?
Well, I like teaching people, but I also like being involved more, like myself, like hands-on work. Because I don't know, I'm very bad at explaining things and giving presentations. So I like more of like beekeeping and hands-on and learning through that way, like showing people examples, like this is what a bee looks like. Here's like what the inside of a beehive looks like. So that's, I think, my favorite part.
Thank you. That's so great.
Thank you, Aleshka, for your question. Something else? Someone else have a question or commentary or something they want to share? kind of Maddy, something else you want to say, Maddy, so we can wrap it up?
I think I'm pretty much done on my part. Yeah.
I actually want to add something about related to roots and shoots group across the world. It has to do with the fact that roots and shoots is different from all other organizations that you could be involved, and it has to do with the fact that it doesn't stay in the school level. You can proceed to participate in higher levels, either if you are a professional or if you are in college level, which is something that I really am glad to have found this group, and that I'm really passionate because of it.
All right, so if nobody else has anything else to share or to ask, we'll wrap it up. Thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Maddy, for your awesome presentation. Thank you to everybody who asked questions. It was a pretty good discussion. I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for connecting with us.
Thank you.
Thank